All right, everybody, we are live. So yeah, no intro music today. This is going to go out on many different platforms. So we're going to share the goodness that we're going to provide here today with our knowledge and learnings about the Montauk Project Tour. All right, Arkeem. Okay, come on, hold on. You got to mute yourself. Mute yourself. There you go. Yeah, so you have to. By the way, so I finally got a headset, so hopefully there's no echo, and so we have four special guests here today. So all of our guests believe they were in Montauk Project 1.0, and probably some of the others as well. So for me, I guess for those of you who don't know, my name is James Rink, and thank you for watching Super Soldier Talk. So I am a super soldier, and I was utilized in many different programs, including Montauk 1.0 and also the Brookhaven 2.0, and and some other sub projects under Project Phoenix, which is the umbrella arm of which is where Montauk Project 1.0 was under. And so we also have Arkeem Raw here today. So Arkeem is a starseed who is targeted for super soldier espionage and mind control programs in the U.S. Public Schools Talented and Gifted program called TAG. And by the way, I was in the TIP program, which is part of Duke University. So for those of you who don't know, the Project Talent is how the CIA recruits people for these programs. So he served at Montauk under Project Phoenix, which is again the umbrella for all the different sub projects for time travel. And he has several alters which were engaged with time travel and alternate reality programs, which he may believe was a swap reality. Arkeem's alters also worked with Nachtwaffen, the Mars Defense Force, Solar Warden, Lunar Command, and more. And so we also have down below here to the left is Steve. So Steve was in Montauk Project 1.0 and 2.0, and probably a lot more because we didn't really have enough time to put together a really thorough bio for all the things that Steve has been through. So, but he was also in Nachtwaff and then Solar Warden, and Steve and Arkeem knew each other on the moon. So that would have been under Lunar Operations Command, probably. So thank you, Steve, for coming on here today. All right, and yeah, great. And we also have there in the bottom right quadrant is Collin. So Collin was in Montauk Project 1.0, Nachtwaffen in the Secret Space Program, Solar Warden, and his call sign is Viper. So he was used as a super soldier, time traveler, and officer. So welcome, everybody. How's everybody doing today?
Great.
Good. So, okay, so today's presentation is going to be about what I thought we could start with first. Anyway, would be the tour that we just conducted in Montauk, New York. That was between August 10th to the 15th, but some people might have stayed a day or two longer. And so this particular tour, we were exploring the return of the USS Eldridge. But we were already aware that the Eldridge was not going to appear visually. However, I believe it was, of course, and Jimmy Payne confirms it, that it was, it's invisible, right? So, but so during this time there in Montauk, a lot of us were exploring the different Camp Hero locations and also around the Lighthouse and so on. And we were working on trying to heal ourselves for some of the trauma that we went through. So, so I guess we could maybe start with, maybe we could just start with maybe Arkeem. So tell us a little bit about more of what you experienced there in Montauk, New York. Okay. Hold on. My bad. Go ahead. Hit it again.
Thanks, James, for having me. What I experienced was, well, how it went, I guess, is you messaged me and you were talking about planning this, and you said you'd like to have me. And my first response to it was that I thought that maybe it was a bad idea because, it's a traumatic kind of thing. But you said to me that we're going to heal. We're going to do healing and we're going to face our trauma and stuff. And that appealed to me. So I agreed to coming out, and I'm really glad that I did. I think the first thing that I noticed once I got there was how bright the energy was there. There were people there with their families, and everyone there was quite happy and enjoying life. And I feel like people are unintentionally putting positive energy into that area there just by doing that, and that's a good thing. And the area was just so beautiful was another thing that I noticed. And it was but yeah, it was one of those things where we did end up facing our trauma. I met a lot of people, like including two people right here, right now, doing this interview with us. I met them and remembered them, both, and quite a few other people as well. I got memories back of them quite quickly, and it was just a lot of healing and reconnecting with each other as what Alondra referred to as free persons, which I really like. You know, we're free persons now, so we're going back as free persons, and
Hmm.
yeah, we healed the energy there. We did some rituals and stuff like that. Uh, I wasn't really even I didn't even really know that we were going to do that, but it ended up happening and it was very beautiful and I think it was really powerful. And there was like golden glowing like light energy being uh installed into the grid of the earth that's there, the ley line that's there. And there are like fractures of they're like fractures you could see like in like I don't know what it would be, like space time or something like that. And I think we injected golden light energy into that and kind of transmuted it and fixed it like glue, and through that as well, because we were transmuting the energy and putting positive energy replacing it. There's also a lot of souls that got released, which can be confirmed by Nigel Impey, I think it is, who is a reptilian starseed channeler individual. But yeah, there was a lot of good things that happened during this trip, and I just think that it was really great for us to meet like this and connect and just try to have a good time and heal. I think that was a part of it, and then also we were able to kind of face these traumas that we had together. Uh, and so, as opposed to if we were to have went there alone, I'm sure it would have been a lot harder than it was with all these people around us, reminding us that we're loved and that we're fixing this, and that the pain and all those bad things that happen are being transmuted. So, basically, James, to answer your question, I experienced something extremely powerful, extremely positive, and I think it's definitely a good idea to repeat this experience again in the future and do something similar again, and just continue to us super soldier assets, or whatever you want to call us, star seeds. I think it's important for us to kind of meet in the here and now and have events like this where not necessarily a conference, but us getting together for like the higher purpose of what happened to us, and what we want to do about it and how we want to change things and be a part of the change. So I really can't thank you enough, James, for kind of, it was your idea. You put the trip together and it was beautiful. And I really appreciate you for doing that. And everybody that came too, whether they're Montauk assets that were revisiting their past or not, everybody that was part of it was just really good people. And it was just a really beautiful experience. And I'm really glad that I was there.
Thank you, Arkeem. Okay, so Steve, tell us a little bit more about you and what did you experience on the tour?
Yeah, it was quite a surprise. I thought at first there'd only be maybe 6 or 10 people. We were just going to kind of look for the Eldridge, but my main purpose actually to go there was to set eyes and foot on that land because of what I had thought had occurred there. And once we got there, it all kind of came together. So I was able to connect a lot of dots about my initial abductions and um, the initial trauma that kind of set me on a course at a young age on my personality of not really buying into the norm, so to speak. So um excuse me. Yeah, so just being there on those grounds and recalling some of my memories. I wish I had total recall, but it was recall enough to identify where it initially took place, where they fractured my mind. And even when we had prayed out there, a person or ghost or however you want to say it, a soul was there that I was forced to beat up there. So I was able to apologize to him for that. But they would pit us against each other in these death battles, and we learned how to learned a lot of violence there, violence to other people and violence to us. So yeah, to clear that air was quite dramatic, really.
And your job in the Montauk. Sorry, guys, for taking. I was trying to. There's so many windows up my computer, but so Steve, your job in the Montauk program was to open up the portals for the people to come through. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah, there were several applications. Yeah, that was one of them. But initially, testing the trip chair, I remember testing that thing over and over, and they weren't quite sure how that worked at first. Though it was a trial and error process. They didn't really have it dialed in when I was there, and it was a process through torture, really. And it would get you so far out of your mind that it would enable you to really do things outside the normal confines of society. So we're kind of in a box here in this dimensional world, however you want to describe it. But once they get you outside this box, I mean, it's wide open. But yes, that was some of my applications they put me through.
So Steve, one more quick question. So after you were able to successfully get the trip chair or whatever they called it, the Montauk chair, working properly, did they reward you in any way? Like maybe give you what? Can you tell us about that?
Those members, they would congratulate you on the return. They were almost shocked that I returned half the time, it seemed, because others didn't, and it was always kind of a guessing game whether you were going to make it back or not. They would get excited and congratulate me for returning, but as far as other than accolades, verbal accolades, there was no like additional, gifts or relief or free time or anything like that. It was pretty regimented for a while there. I remember that. And they were always tinkering with it, so the applications would change from week to week.
All right, thank you, Steve. So, Collin, tell us a little bit more about yourself and what did you experience on the Montauk tour?
Hi, James. Can you hear me all right? Okay.
Yeah.
So I up until a couple of weeks ago, I thought I was just a regular dude that was having problems in life, and had all these, memories that appeared in my dreams that didn't make sense, and I was trying to put it all together, and then I heard about your trip you guys are putting on, and you and Arkeem had put out the Montauk Adventure Tour video, and I immediately, when I saw it, you mentioned the website, and I immediately paused it and clicked on it and went and bought the ticket, and I didn't know anything else. I just immediately bought it, and then I watched the rest of the video, and I was glad I committed, but I was worried I would miss out, and a lot of stuff coming up in my life was telling me that I was going to go on a vacation soon, and I would be near the beach. And there was no way in the universe that I could imagine this happening until I saw your video. And it was quite amazing to me that this is all lined up and I'm even here right now. But I got to Montauk. I drove 2,500 miles to get there, and I had a pretty uneventful trip other than one time I tried to get run off the road by a semi-truck, and I think it was 100% intentional. But I got out of it cleanly, and I made it all the way there. But my intention with the trip was originally to help the sailors in any way possible. But I realized as I was traveling that my intentions were mostly selfish. I wanted to heal myself, and I was very much concerned about meeting everybody because I know I have been unstable in the past. I have had lots of challenges in this life, and I'm trying to keep myself together and be professional and able to function around other people in a group and just be a normal human being, though sometimes it's difficult. But when Archie mentioned showing up to the houses and the light energy and Montauk itself, when I arrived, I had figured I was late. I was the last one to arrive, but it turned out I was the first one at the second house. And when I showed up, I was just unloading the house and putting all the groceries away. And everyone else showed up within 30 minutes. And we all got to know each other that night, right there in the kitchen. And it was kind of an odd reunion of people either knowing each other but not knowing each other, or some of us having conscious memories and the other person not knowing anything, which was me mostly. I still don't have many memories of anything. I don't remember anyone, but all of this stuff is very familiar and it makes a lot of sense to me. And without this knowledge and this trip, I think I would have been lost forever. I'm very grateful for that, and I have found a lot of healing. Um, and I've noticed with all you guys too. I think we've come a long way. As sometimes it seems like it's very, we haven't gotten very far, but I noticed in the 5 days I was with you guys that we all made improvements. So as far as the energetic work, I was very pleased to find out that that was happening and that I would be involved in it with healing the area and the other souls that were involved in Montauk. And I was blown away by what happened. I never expected any of that, and I did not know that I was even capable of those sorts of things, although I'd always been suspicious. Um, so the whole trip in the end was way better than I had imagined in every possible sense. Got to meet wonderful people that I believe I've known my many lives, infinite number of lives. It's kind of eerie sometimes how, with the time travel aspect and alters and all these different aspects of our consciousness, that how we're so familiar with each other sometimes. So I feel like I did a lot of good healing. I met a lot of wonderful people, and it is the first steps into I think the long journey, but the positive future that I believe that we've now secured officially. So I'm grateful for the trip and grateful for everybody that came. And also grateful for you, James, and Brian from the Solar Bee, who helped organize this, I believe. Everything went very smoothly, considering how many people we had. So it was a fun trip, and I look forward to reuniting in the future.
All right, I finally figured out how to get these pictures to load up. Thank you so much, Collin. So I think that's you on the end of that picture right there, Collin. And there's
Yeah,
me,
I
of
believe
course.
so, on the far left. Yeah.
Yeah. Alondra is in yellow, and I think that might be Angel there next. Oh wait, no, she's in the blue shirt. That's Anna actually in the gray, and Andrea over there at the end. So this was I think this was like the first day when we were all basically all there on that Friday, and there was this helicopter that flew by, and somebody waved back. Let's see if I can find out. Okay, it's actually right here. Let's see if I do this. There we go. And he was waving back. You see that up there? Anyway, guys. All right. So, anybody want to guess what this helicopter, what they might have been doing? Anybody have a guess?
Reconnaissance, I think.
I think they're checking us out.
Yeah. Doing a vibe check, maybe. But he also dropped his tail, like said hello when we waved at him. So I think they were mostly friendly.
All right. So I think perhaps the Eldridge was over, not like Jimmy Payne said it was north of the Montauk area or Oyster Pine, but I think it might have been actually due east out in the ocean, and this helicopter was exploring the area. But yeah, so let's go on here. What else we got? Here's another picture. I don't think Collin and Steve. I don't think you were there this day, were you?
I think I was right behind the camera for that, actually.
No, I wasn't
Okay.
there.
Okay. So maybe who does anybody want to tell us more about what this was about?
This is just I think it was John Whitberg that actually requested this. He figured we should make some sort of memorial for what happened there, which obviously isn't easy to do with It's not like we can erect a statue or something like that at this point. Maybe in the future, but he said that if we laid out some stones on a cross formation, usually people will know there's something going on there with that, and they'll respect it and leave it alone. So that's just sort of our beginning, the first monument of just respect to what happened there that we've built. It's kind of a rudimentary one. It's just with rocks that were right there in the area. But it's a start to just kind of just physically just representing a sort of acknowledgement of what happened there and honoring that and making peace with it.
All right, so this was for the unmarked graves. There's hundreds of bodies, bones down there still. And when they made these mass graves, they didn't have any respect for the people that died during the Montauk project. So maybe we'll just explain it briefly how the Montauk project came. How to be. Okay, just quickly, I'll give everybody a little quick background. So, according to Al Bielek, and I think Jimmy Payne has also confirmed this, the original Nazi paperclip scientists came out of Brookhaven back in the 1950s. Certain senators found out on these experiments of mind control, and they became very concerned, and they wanted to shut the program down. So these Germans were looking for a new place to continue their experiments, and in 1968. They made a deal with the U.S. Army, the Air Force Base down there, which became the Air Force Base, down at Camp Hero. So the goal, and that was decommissioned in 1969. So by 1971, this program was started up where people, mostly homeless people, were kidnapped off the streets of New York. One figure, I think, Arkeem, maybe you mentioned this figure, 80% of all the homeless people in the 1970s end up missing. Is that? Did you say that?
No, that's not my figure, but I believe it. Homeless people kind of have this thing where, like, society, no one wants to admit it, no one wants to say it out loud, but society kind of doesn't care about them. And yeah, so their whole attitude, you can find interviews with like Al Bielek and Larry James. They were literally asked if they felt any guilt about the fact that these kids that they sent through the portal, some of them that didn't make it back, and they said, oh, well, they weren't much to begin with anyway, was literally what they said. So obviously these people were not respected at all by their captors, by the people who took them. The heinous things that were done to them are they are a crime against humanity. And yeah, it's just, we're just kind of us, the survivors, us Montauk kids that actually made it out and are in the here and now, able to speak out. We're the first ones to actually kind of honor that. Preston, and all those guys, they never really gave the fact that so many lives were lost the respect that it deserved. So this is kind of the beginning of that. We're hoping to, where that rock is right there, that in the back in that picture, we're hoping to put a rose garden there in the future to kind of just represent, like, every rose would be a life or something like that, or every rose bed or something like that, just to represent the massive amount of people that it was, just to show people visually, kind of be a visual demonstration of, you know what I mean? And have a sign there that explains that's why the rose garden is there. Because the area used to be, when it was in the time bubble or whatever, anyway, it had wildflowers and stuff like that around. And so it's this maintained area now, but I think it would be appropriate to put roses around that area. I think that it would look nice, and hopefully we can get that done. I believe we can.
So this is near Montauk Manor, and this is Council Rock. It was a traditional Native American meeting spot, but when they built the Montauk Manor, they moved to there in the 1950s or 60s. But this particular area around here is a cemetery. But yeah, so I wanted to mention one other thing. I guess we were, between the consensus of the group, we were trying to understand where, not, well, we know where, but when. So one theory is that the Montauk program took place in a time freezing zone. And sometime in the 1970s, John Whitberg he said that it was a spring day in the evening, I think, a cool spring day in the 1970s where they froze time, and all these children were being taken here. Um, According to Peter Insider, he said, I was there for 33 years. They have re-aging technology where the children would be kept either in between clone bodies or re-aged. For me, it was a little bit of all that. And that's particular Montauk 2.0. And also from 2.0, they were sent back to 1.0. So somebody actually asked a question about the Brookhaven. So in 1979, while this program was still existing in this pocket reality over here, because this program in the Camp area was finally shut down in 1983. But in 79, a group of scientists out of Brookhaven got a hold of a sun disk, which is this technology that was used by reptilians to open up portals. But to use the technology, there was basically embalming, like embalming altar there, where a child would have to be sacrificed of a certain blood type. So thousands of children were being abducted out of the Amazon to operate this sun disk, and they wanted to bring some of the Montauk children over there who can open up portals to operate it. So that's the Montauk 2.0. So we didn't really have time to go over to the Brookhaven area. I think one person in our tour did, but they were actually, it was you, Steve, right? Didn't you like try to sneak in there, or not sneak, but drive to the entrance? Tell us about it.
I drove around to the entrance to the security gate, but they weren't having it. They weren't going to let me drive through on the property, so they turned me around right away. But they definitely transferred the applications of that technology to a more guarded, secured, more advanced facility, which was Brookhaven. But that's why they could deny anything that happened there. It was never officially reopened, Montauk or Camp Hero. So, you're not going to get any public acknowledgement that those programs went down.
That's right. And they also were looking for more a discrete manner to develop their technologies. For instance, at the Camp Hero facility, it was a military facility. So the scientists were under military law, and they were it would be considered treason for them to share with other scientists. So they wanted to go to Brookhaven because it's more of a corporate setting. And my understanding of that is still active to this day. Okay, so anybody else want to add to that before we move on? Yeah, Colin, go ahead.
James, Angel and I, we tried to drive up past Brookhaven as well on our way to the airport in New York. We left we gave ourselves lots of time, but we ended up staying the night in a hotel, which we did not plan. We planned on driving. We just were going to skip it because we were having a bunch of resistance. We were trying to get to Brookhaven. We were going to try to do some energetic work there, and it just didn't work out. So we said, screw it, let's just go to the airport and we'll get a hotel closer to JFK. Well, I ended up losing my credit card, and some other things happened along the way, and our energy just got lowered immediately. And we ended up backtracking about 2 hours to go back to right near by Brookhaven Labs. We stayed at a hotel probably 3 miles from there. And she said she remembers us getting picked up by someone in our sleep. And I don't know, I'm assuming it was either those guys or one of the perhaps Nachtwaffen. I don't know, somebody not very good, I'm guessing. But I woke up the next day and I had bruises all over my hips. And I felt okay, but we were definitely tired and worn out from traveling. But the next morning we drove up to the gate and we were met immediately. I told them I missed the turn to the highway, which I did, but it's a huge road, like it's a parkway almost, that entrance into that place. So it's interesting to me. It's not just some small-time private company; it's a huge organization. So, but once we left there, we started to do some channeling work along the way, and I think there was like the Montauk natives were with us the whole time, like trying to clear that land because there's a lot of stuff going on there energetically.
Okay. Hey, great. Okay, so awesome, Colin. I'm so happy that you were able to do that. There's been some discussion amongst our group to maybe do another tour in this particular area or a sub tour. We'll figure it all out. I was thinking, some people were on the want me to host this again next year. I think maybe we should perhaps go to New Orleans to explore the Montauk 3.0 facility, and then maybe come back here 2 years from now or so on. But we'll all work on it because I think this particular area, as you can see, there's a super collider there where they're opening up portals. They're always looking for portals to escape and to bring other beings in. But yeah, all right. So let's go to the next pitch. Oh wait, hold on. Okay.
Yeah, there's a
Go
lot
ahead.
going on there. If we were to go back, I know there was a lot of talk about another meeting up next year around the same time, which could be a good idea. But if we're going to go, I think we need way more people and way more committed people to go back to Brookhaven. And I was thinking about if we're going to do a circle, we should do like a big circle, like 5 miles across or something, if we had 100 or so people, because that whole area is just in deep in dark energy, I think.
Oh wow, that's a great idea. Thank you, Colin. Yeah, so that other picture we just saw was Sean Bond there, if the root beer. So he came out and helped us out. Thank you, Sean. We really appreciate that. And yeah, that's Brian there sitting on the rock next to me, Council Rock, and of course there's Stephanie. So it was Brian's birthday. So happy birthday, Brian! We gave you a nice little surprise there. All right. So one of these looping. Okay, let's see what's going on here, guys. So hold on, let me get this. Go back to the beginning here. Oh, I'll go up here. So we went to the Sage Radar Tower. There was different groups. Now I was in the group that the park ranger chased us off the tower. I was right here filming this. Actually, nobody films anymore. Sorry, videoing Alondra here as he was talking about the Sage Radar Tower and the park, because there's these signs. I'll show you the signs just a bit. You're not supposed to be around this spot because it's very dangerous with that tower. It's crumbling and falling apart. So when we heard the park ranger, all of us just ran, and I grabbed my camera and I just snuck out of the hole. But anyway, but it was all fun, I guess. Anyhow, anybody want to comment about this spot or Arkeem here in the picture?
I got more. The radar tower. I wasn't able to go inside of it, but it did give me a really ominous feeling, of course. And I just remember kind of falling to my knees when I first saw it because it was just kind of such an overwhelming emotional feeling. But there's some barracks and stuff around there that I got memories of. And then that house that was around there that they did weird experiments in on soldiers and stuff like that. And yeah, I don't know. It was just interesting being there. And I don't really have much more to say about it. I do really like that picture. It's a really good picture.
Maybe
I
Steve. Oh, go ahead, Colin. Yes.
I had the same feeling that Arkeem did when I arrived. Just probably 100 feet from the gate, I actually had to take a knee or two knees. I was on the ground. I just had this heavy feeling like rush down my body, basically. No conscious memories, but there was definitely some subconscious work going on there. But I did poke my head. There's a hole jackhammered in the one side of it, and I poked my head in there, and it is very creepy. And there is a very, very low vibrational energy still there. I don't know, but that was before we did the work there. But I'm guessing there's just so much history there that it's just embedded in that whole place. But yeah, we ran away from the park ranger there, and it turns out that place is protected by the New York State Parks, and it's not a federal site. So I found that interesting.
Oh wow, thank you. Okay, so let's get out of this. I'm trying to pull up the picture of us by the gate there. I think I found it. So let me get over here, pull this one up. and present. Hold on, guys. We're gonna get through this. All right. So yeah, there sneaking through the hole there. That guys, there may or may not be a hole that you can get through. That just in case you're wondering, but we got through the hole. And there's Sean. These guys wanted a picture on at this spot, and I was telling him that is all poison ivy, and Sean's like, I don't care, I'll deal with it later. And Stephanie got one too on a picture right here. It says they both got horrible poison ivy drawn on this, but anybody?
It was an impressive picture.
yeah. So again, this making all these weird sounds with those metal contraptions there with the water and the heat of the sun. So it had a really eerie feeling to it. And according, I think was it you, Arkeem, or John Whitberg said that the trip chair was in this tower here?
It was underneath it. And I also think it's interesting, in person, you can't really see that checkerboard pattern on the side of it. But then you go back to the other picture right before this one, James. You see that how there's that checkerboard pattern? That's like a Masonic thing. You know, the checkerboard pattern like that. I wonder why that is that has that. Because I didn't even notice that in person, but look at that. That's like eerie. It's the checkerboard.
I did notice
checkerboard pattern.
I did notice that in person. I was wondering about that because that's not really how you pour concrete either. Like generally, if you pour concrete, you'll see the layers of the lifts you do. But to have perfect squares like that, that was 100% intentional. So it's very interesting to me that that's built like that.
And it was part of the program there to keep the kids in a state under a trance and subliminal control. So, but there was also these weird, eerie sirens that would go off every day at 12 o'clock noon. And Sylvia on the tour, she seems to think that's all part of the mind control of the area to keep everybody locked in this grid that they're keeping people asleep.
It was every day?
Yeah, it was every day at 12 noon. Do you remember that? Does anybody else remember hearing it?
I do remember hearing it. I just must have been not paying attention. But I thought that was kind of odd. There was also a night where it was like 3 or 4 in the morning and people got woken up by the same kind of siren going off.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think in some of those older industrial towns or fishing towns, they use the siren as a lunch alarm or a lunch bell. But also it's kind of a daily test to make sure that the alarm works if they have air raid sirens or tsunami warning sirens.
Okay, so this is the 12th of August, the day that the portal, supposedly the Eldritch was coming through. But fog is actually very common in Long Island, but so I'm not saying that this is some kind of unusual thing, but it was unusual that how dense it was, and if there was anything out there, we weren't going to see it.
It came very quickly too. It was like very clear, and then all of a sudden it was very foggy. I guess I that might be something that happens there a lot. I don't know, but the timing was definitely convenient.
All right. So there's the lighthouse. John Whitberg wanted us to walk from the lighthouse to the Sage Radar Tower, which I guess is a mile away. But I think, Arkeem, you did that one with Brian.
Yeah, I walked the path, but I was doing it for John, and I was trying to get footage for him and stuff. And I did get a bunch of footage, but I kind of so there's fences and things. It's not the same as it was. There's like you can't just walk straight from the lighthouse through. But yeah, Jessica Jones is saying the sirens did go off at 3 a.m. But yeah, no, I tried to do that walk. It's a little bit different now. You can't do it exactly the same. I got a little bit lost because of that, but John Whitberg will have to do that walk himself. He'll have to come through when we go 2 years from now, yeah, maybe do that walk because I might have done that walk too. I really wanted to go into the lighthouse. I felt like I would have gotten some heavy duty recall if I would have went into it. But every time there's some sort of either like, oh, we're closing now, or oh, it's an hour and a half wait, or so I never actually got to go into the lighthouse. But that next time I'll definitely make sure that I get up early one of the days or something like that so I can get into the lighthouse and and check that out.
Certainly. Tours are $15 for an adult. So that was also some discussion amongst the group. We just didn't feel like spending $15 to go inside that building. But the state
Yeah,
of
for
New
me, I
York.
felt like it was worth it, but yeah, that is kind of a ripoff. It's just a lighthouse. It's not.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
A little
here we
bit
have Angel putting I think some selenite sphere on Andrea. So Andrea, she's probably going to see this eventually, but she has a show, a YouTube channel in the Czech Republic where she's going into the paranormal and also super soldiers, SSPs. So she's doing great work over there. And amazingly, that topic is very popular over in that part of the world. But and she flew out. Yeah, she came all the way from the Czech Republic to join us here in New York.
Yeah, we had quite a
I'm
few Czechs. We had quite a few Czechs with us, so it's pretty cool. There, she wasn't the only one. There's like 3 or 4 Czech people that came, and one of the women translates a lot of people like us that are talking about the secret space programs to Czech, and so she's been, because of that, they a lot of people that are in Czechoslovakia are getting exposed to our content, and it's opening their eyes, and there's people that they're realizing they're in programs and stuff like that over there. So I found that very interesting, and it was really nice having them along on the trip. I enjoyed that, and yeah, it was nice.
All right, well, let's move on here. All right, so I think this picture might have been taken by you, Colin. I don't remember taking this one. Is that your picture?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay, well, it's just a different angle there. All right, and I found a little fox on a mulch pile. So there's
That's cool.
lots of wildlife moving in, despite the horrible things that happen there. Me and Stephanie and I went out to the Pindar Winery north of on the North Fork of Long Island to investigate to see what the connection is with the reptilian tribes, and neither of us were picking up on anything negative. So I think that the Greek guy that this is supposedly the biggest winery in Long Island was just has an interest in Pindar, whatever that is in the Greek culture. So
I know.
all right.
I was what the big chair caught my eye, James.
Okay, okay, yeah. So there's not much else to see, and the actually, I got some thing. I got the bottle of wine, so we have to enjoy that. Um, okay, so yeah, here we are again. That's Chastity over there on the right. So Chastity, she was also with one of the kids with us at Montauk 1.0 and 2.0. But she came along with the tour, and she's extremely talented in it. And we're all very blessed to have her there. So thank you, Chastity, for helping us all out.
Yeah, she's wonderful. She did some energy work on me right before I left, and it was very, very good. It was very cleansing. I was wondering, James, if you'd like to maybe go through any of the memories that some of us got back when we were there.
Okay, so we can maybe start with you, Arkeem. So tell us what did you remember?
Well, I remembered a lot of stuff about a lot of people that we met. Let's start with Chastity, because we were just talking about her. I remember that when we were kids, I got a memory back that I was telling her, she's like, I'm gonna see my family again. My family's looking for me, and they're gonna find me. And I had been there longer than her, and I'm like, you're wrong. You're never gonna see your parents again. We're stuck here forever. Nobody knows that we're here, and we're never gonna be able to escape. And she's like, no, like, and she's like crying, and like, she's like, I made her cry by telling her that. And that was kind of a sad memory to get back, but I got to apologize for that, because she was right. We did end up seeing her parents again. I remember that Alondra wrote a lot of the classical music, famous classical music. I can't give exact names, but I'm guessing like a lot of the stuff that Preston Nichols was super into and would program us with might have actually been made by him. But I remember he played the piano quite well. And also I think he wrote Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven or whatever. I think he wrote that song. And a lot of other famous ones. And I just remembered that about him mostly. It's just that he was also one of the ones that would play music, and they'd make us play music together and stuff like that. And then Colin, I remember you And unfortunately, I don't have to go into detail, but my memories weren't very good of you. I remember that he was a guard and that he was very mean. And yeah, that's it is what it is. We were all programmed to do what we had to do. And then I remember Steve, like I remember calling him the man on the moon, but in German, I think it was. So this might have been like Nachtwaffen, or well, Jacob actually ended up joining Nachtwaffen, that altar that was a Montauk altar later on. It's a long story, but yeah, I remember Steve. The context is kind of hard. The memory's kind of blurry, but I believe what it was is something to do with a portal on the moon, and I would see him there, and we'd give each other shit. And your laugh, it's funny to hear your laugh in the here now because he had the same laugh. That kind of, he kind of got the same laugh, and yeah, I remember that, and yeah, I remembered Angel too, although I did not remember Angel from Montauk. I remembered her that she was a leader of a squadron of Nachtwaffen, and it was like 5 people that was a group that would go in, and they were like warrior class or whatever. And I think she was the leader of it, and there was also more soldiers on the ship or whatever, and I think she might have been in control of more soldiers at other times, but I just remember that she was very like a fierce warrior that like people were afraid of.
I
And I
think
remember
her squad was called the Mother of Dragons or something like that, or maybe
okay,
that's her name.
that might have something to do with the Shaw House or something like that. It sounds like if it's Squad of Dragons, but maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, I just remembered her in the black smart suit. Like I remembered that, and just the fact that she was very someone that you did not want to be on her bad side, and it was pretty easy to get on her bad side, but you didn't want to be there because she was just a brutal warrior. Which in a lot of these programs you get trained to do that. And yeah, she was very powerful. They would send her into battle in very extreme situations, and she excelled at her job. But yeah, and then yeah, those are most of the only memories that I got back. There might be other ones that I got. Oh, yeah, there's a guy there that I don't want to say his name, but there's a guy that came there. He's from Florida, and he didn't know he was Montauk, and it was very hard to bring up to him. But it was that one night that everybody kind of let loose and had a few drinks and stuff, and I guess the drinks made me a little more loose, and I opened up to him. And I don't remember much about him. I just remember that he was in ancient Rome when we were doing the time missions in ancient Rome. And this guy had no clue he was Montauk from Florida, and he came out there just to kind of support it and check it out and just be there. But I definitely remember that he was there. And then yeah, I got just memories back of like some of the barracks there. Like they would let us stay on vacation there sort of with our trauma twins, and then they would separate us after that to make us do what they wouldn't tell us. It would just, they just do it. So they would let us be together for like a week, 2 weeks, and then they'd separate us. And then that was our motivation in order to get them to do it. In order to do what they wanted us to do, they would let us see our trauma twins again. So like in order to make us like really freak out over not having them around, they had to let us bond together. So I remember them letting us do that on some of the barracks there. And then also there's the bowling alley there, and that seemed really familiar. I feel like I've been in the bowling alley, and when I was at the bowling alley, it was like 1950s vibes, and probably around that time period. So I don't know why I would have been there. I don't think it was in the time bubble. But yeah, and then another thing too is with the time bubble that was there. I did get some memory back of that, and I think that calling it frozen in time like is more, that's not to get caught up in nomenclature, but that's not exactly the correct way to put it. Like a time bubble's, it's more complicated than that, because obviously time for us still worked, but stuff it's confusing. But yeah, it was a time bubble, and yeah, they wanted us to stay inside the time bubble. They definitely did not want us to leave it. But also then there was the fear of where you'd even end up if you left the time bubble. But yeah, those are some of the memories I got back. I don't know if that's helpful to anyone at all, but I guess it's just like interesting. it's kind of all over the place. I did not like Steve said, I wish I could have gotten total recall and remembered everything, but I guess maybe I should be thankful that I didn't, because obviously a lot of really bad things happen, and there's a reason why I don't remember a lot of those things, is because it's my alters protecting me from stuff that I probably can't. Well, it'd be hard for me to handle. Let's put it that way. I'm not going to say I couldn't handle it, but it'd be hard. So yeah, those are the memories that I got back. If I forgot, there's something else I wanted to say, but yeah, those are the memories I got back.
Thank you, Arkeem. So, Colin, why don't you share? Did you recover any new memories, or did you get any flashbacks? What did you experience?
Yeah, there's been a few things happen to me since I got to Montauk. I just wanted to mention though that there was a movie came out, I don't know, 10 or 12 years ago, and I can't remember any of the actors in it, but it was about this woman who ran like an orphanage or a school, and every day she had to put like a time bubble around her house or the school because it was during World War II and somebody dropped a bomb on the house. So she was keeping this like school for gifted children open, but it was in this time bubble, and it was every day she had to do it at a certain time. And I vaguely remember seeing this movie, but I don't know enough about it to even find out the name. And I was wondering if anybody else has ever seen it, because maybe that's relevant.
I haven't seen it, but it's probably soft disclosure, maybe something to check out. This ritual here is something I wanted to say too, while I'm thinking of it. So Jessica Jones, the cryptid huntress, was there, as well as Long Island Bigfoot Mike. That's how you say his name, right? Yeah, and I believe that they were there for a reason, because they're both connected to kind of like that different frequency that the Bigfoots exist on, and all these spiritual beings and stuff like that. They're very connected to that. They're very in tune with it. And I think that whether they're Montauk or not, I can't say that. I don't think so. I maybe Mike is. I don't know about Jessica, but all I know is they brought in that energy to that space, and according to them, there was a ring of like Bigfoot and like elemental beings and stuff like that around. So there's like the inner ring, then there's another ring of people, and then beyond that, there was a ring of like creatures that were there, but you can't necessarily see them. They're not exactly phased in reality. It's hard to explain, but they're there. And I do believe that hat tip to Jessica and Mike for being there, because they really bringing in that energy. I'm getting emotional thinking about it. It was really important for them to bring in that energy. And another thing that happened too that I think is important to bring up is Mike. He when he came into that circle, he said that he just kind of saw there was energy, some energy like pouring out, and he had to stop it or something like that. And he said that he came to, and when he looked up, he said that we were all in like, it was like not the same us. It was like almost like a different version of us. Like we were all in our super soldier like garb, like our super soldier suits, and we all looked different. It's like, almost like some sort of like psychedelic experience almost, but he was totally sober. You know what I mean? So there's something going on there. It was the energy of the situation. It was what was going on. He said that he could feel the fact that the energy was more intense there, which, I believe that definitely, but I didn't feel that as much so when I walked into it. But he said when he stepped into it, it was just like, holy cow. And so he had to kind of get a hold of himself. And yeah, we just did some healing work there. We did, and then afterwards we did some work on you, James. And it was another thing that was just wild about this is I know that it might just look like a bunch of lunatics from the outside because we were just screaming, we were talking in tongues and stuff like that. But it was very much so like we were talking in some sort of dead language, like, and I could understand everybody. And we could talk to each other. It was like our altars totally took over. And it was like this ancient language. And yeah, I did some work on you, James. Because my altar took me over, I think is really what it was, is I saw that you had some etheric implants in your chakras. So I decided to just rip them out, and I did. And then I had to get some help with your third eye chakra, because I didn't want to. I didn't want to yank out the etheric implant because it could affect your pineal gland, and it could be bad. So I had everybody help me kind of melt the implant instead of just rip it out, so that your pineal gland would still be fine. And that was very wild because I I've always been saying, I've brought it up even on my show, on my channel, like I really want to learn about the energy work. I want to become a healer. I know that's inside me, and apparently I do already know, and it is true. And yeah, that was just a really healing space right there. We did some work on Brian as well, and just it was a beautiful thing to do it in at that ley line there in that space. I think it's something that we should just repeat every time we go there. When we go back, we should just do the exact same thing all over again. It's already done. Like I think like the energy work we did is already done, but it doesn't hurt to just go back and reattempt it. Maybe it'll end up coming out a little bit differently because maybe we'll do a slightly different ritual the second time. Just do what needs to be done. But I think that was really the most important part of the trip. I'm pretty sure it was Angel's idea, so I really want to point out that that was a great idea, and I'm really respect that, and I'm glad that she put the idea out there because, yeah, to me that was the most important part of the trip was doing that healing that occurred in that space, that time, and it just kind of organically happened, and yeah, it felt really great, and it like I said, got it. I think it'd just be good to do it again, just because maybe there'll be more people next time, and maybe we can do something a little bit different, like clear different energies. Like we cleared the hardcore core of everything that happened there, but I'm sure there's a lot of stuff we still got to go through. So yeah, we just got to keep going back to the spot and just healing it. And I think that the people that are there just hanging out with their families and stuff like that on vacation, their energy was very high. I noticed, and I think that helps too. So just yeah, that I feel like that area is healing. It's in a period of healing now, and it's a relief. It's a relieving thing to see and to have experienced.
All right. Well, I guess I should just fill in, and then we'll go hit put it over to Colin. So what you're seeing here is so this is right near the barracks area. Yeah, actually, I'll back up. So this picture, yeah, so that's me laying down there where Arkeem and the group there was doing some work on me, and I was just out in outer space, and I wasn't really even, I don't even think I was in my body when that was going on, but it was an amazing, so that particular spot there is right near the barracks where there are a bunch of ley lines intersect. So, and this was also the area where the bubble was. My particular experience right near that barrack, is actually I need to switch this over. So this particular I want to because I didn't take a picture on my cell phone of this particular spot, but the barrack over here on this one right here. So this window on the top floor around the third window over is where they pushed me out the window one time, and I just remember how mean all the other kids were. But at this particular experience, I was 5 years old, and when they pushed me out the window, um, when I fell, I turned invisible, and the other kids there were all screaming, "Damn, alien boy just turned invisible! We didn't know he could do that!" And then I went outside the time bubble and called in the Andromedans, and then they put me back, and yeah, so that was that. So yeah, I just see myself on the second story that in those barracks. Yeah, not really too happy of a memory there, but anyway, so yeah, that was amazing, and so I was doing a presentation. Uh, Kimberly Lusana channeled a message from Saint Germain, so I was delivering a message about the Montauk Phoenix projects and what the Cabal has been trying to do, and how humanity in the future is going to eventually get a hold of time travel. So then in the future, it'll benefit all people, not just a group of a bunch of elites who are using it for their own bloodline, dynasties and their corporations benefiting it. So we'll all benefit. But yeah, so anyhow, I guess that's pretty much all. Oh yeah, we had an amazing time at the pool. So initially we had 2 Airbnbs booked, and both of them canceled on us. So we switched around back and forth, and ultimately we found this place that had a pool because I'm sorry, Angel, she was really mad at me for not getting a house with a pool, even though she didn't help. Never mind, it doesn't matter. But yeah, there's Steve there. We all had a wonderful time. Catherine in the background. So
Yeah,
anyhow,
it was a really good time. There's that one night that we kind of all just hung out and stayed up really late and swam in the pool and stuff, and that was really fun. It was a really good time, and yeah, I'm looking forward to again. Yeah, it was just really great. Thanks for doing everything to everyone that contributed. Brian sang, James, Bob Estes, there's other people that I'm sure I'm not naming, but everybody that contributed and just put it together and made everything happen, we really appreciate you. And yeah, I guess that we're kind of wrapping things up then.
well, let's give Collin and Steve a chance. So, Collin, tell us a little bit more. Did you get any more downloads, or did you experience anything amazing at that circle there?
Well, that circle, I wanted to ask you, James, have you noticed any difference in how you feel after that?
Uh, yeah. Well, I feel a lot more grounded, and not the anxiety of what they put us through. I guess is not so much dragging me down. I'm still waiting to get to full downloads, but when I was there, I actually got abducted. I had a I think no, well, yeah. I don't know if anybody remember that night that I said I just was abducted, and nobody even noticed I was gone because they took me out of time. But Chastity was there saying, "Oh, those group of reptilians got me again." But
Well,
they,
what's interesting, James, is right at
yeah, go
that
ahead.
moment that that happened to you, Chastity was working on me, and it was actually quite a lot I found out about myself that week. But at that very moment, she had just came up to me and touched me on the chest, and she went, "Oh, you're the Bionic Man," and I was like, "Oh, okay," and she basically said I was damaged, I was exploded or something, and I was damaged, and I don't know if it has. There may be some relation to you. I may have been with you on a mission, and a bomb went off near our feet, and I think you might have been killed, and I was damaged. And what came up was that I was rebuilt using mechanics, but they also injected me with Black Draco DNA. And I don't know how accurate that stuff is, but I definitely have connections with with the Draco. I thought I was of them, but now I'm really not certain. I may have been altered and to be part of them. I don't know. It's really kind of messed up. Um,
You're Draco Starseed, and yeah, you got Draco DNA
oh,
in
okay.
you as well. Yeah.
Thank you, because it's yeah a lot of very confusing stuff. Um, But so that came up right as you were being abducted, and I thought that was very interesting. So I think all of us are connected to each other in very weird ways that are really hard to understand. But also the synchronicities, and when we were together, I noticed our energy was so high that they really probably had to pick and choose when they were getting us. But as far as other memories that came up, one of the first nights I was there. Also, I didn't sleep much on the whole trip. I only slept, I think, 3 or 4 hours a night. I don't really remember dreaming much. But the first night, right before I was nodding off to sleep, I heard Naval Space Academy. I think, yeah, in my head, and I said it out loud so anybody hearing could hear it or listening could hear it. But I remembered it in the morning. So I think Naval Space Academy. Another name that came up was Sebastian Shaw. I saw something from a Marvel comics, and it was referring to the White Queen. This girl she was a powerful psychic, and I saw an image of the Sebastian Shaw character from a like a '80s comic book, and it really brought up some memories for me. So and also apparently he was part of something called the Hellfire Club, and that whole bunch of synchronicities lined up that day to get me to notice this stuff. So
Oh,
I'm not really familiar with. I don't have much conscious memory, but I'm starting to look into this stuff now. And there was a couple other things that just came up this morning, but I don't really remember them. A lot of the stuff that's been happening to me the last week or two. Um, I've noticed my dreams. Like I know I had crazy dreams last night, but I don't remember any of them at all. Like it's like they didn't even happen. So I think everything's getting accelerated right now, and it's really hard to keep track of what's going on.
Thank
That's
you,
all I got.
Collin. Yeah, thank you. So, Steve, tell us, what did you experience? I mean, did you? I know you said that you had some recalls being there, but did you have those memories before you showed up or after you showed up? And tell us what you remember.
As far as being at Camp Hero,
Yes.
yeah, no, I had those memories before, but they all came together, especially when Chastity was there. So we were at the fence together next to the tower, and then actually the trip chair was in that building that was adjacent to the tower. I don't think the trip chair was inside the tower. So they would pipe power from the other building to the tower, and then it would they would ramp that thing up, and then you could you could put that radar anywhere you wanted to across the open ocean. So I remember I remember getting transported through the stargates there. So that was a that was quite a recall there. And then seeing the barracks the following day or two was pretty emotional. Yeah, the whole thing was pretty emotional. More than I anticipated, for sure. But I just remember getting drowned a lot. I think they would drown you so you'd leave your body, and then you temporarily die, I guess, and then they bring you back. So over and over and over, dying and coming back and dying and coming back. Those memories are what I remember.
Can I say something real quick? I don't know. Sorry to interrupt, Steve, but
Yeah.
a lot of the other stuff that's been coming up for me lately is the rock music, classic rock music. There's one song in particular. It's called "Twilight Zone" by Golden Earring, and the line is falling down a spiral, destination unknown, double-cross messenger, all alone. Can't get no connection, can't get through. Where are you? And whenever I hear that song and I sing it, I basically break down in tears crying every time.
yeah, that's
Because
another thing that I remembered about you. Sorry to be like, oh yeah, I remember you being mean to me and not saying the cool and good part. That was kind of bogus of me. I do remember that you played bass guitar. I remember that. And yeah, you might have written some songs and stuff too. I always say that I'm not like alone in this. I know John Whitberg wrote a lot of songs. Um, yeah, I wasn't the only one writing songs at Montauk. They tried to make us all make music. They saw if we were good at it. Some of us were, some of us weren't. But you were one of the ones who had an aptitude for it, and you did make some music. And I remembered that about you. So yeah, I can verify that. And that sounds totally like a Montauk band kind of song. Like you might even look into the history of that band and find out. This is what you'll probably find out. I'm just going to call it out before you even research it and find out. You're going to find out that band was put together by the record label and that the musicians that recorded it in the recording studio were not the same people that toured it. That's probably what you're going to find out. That's typical of these Montauk bands, especially if it's like a classic rock song. So it'll be interesting to look into that and find that out. But yeah, I totally believe that you're probably a part of writing that song. And that's probably why you feel so emotional about it when you hear it.
thank you, Arkeem. I appreciate that. That helps a lot. But also on top of that, I feel like I don't know what we were all used for or how many times we died, but I feel like I've died millions of times probably. And the one thing I get from that is that they left me behind. And I don't know how many times, but I kind of had a minute the other day where I was crying and I was just like, they left me behind. And because we've all been so abandoned by our families and friends here, it made it so hard for me to deal with that I was left behind intentionally. And when you said Steve said they were surprised when you got back from a mission, I basically have experienced in this life and there, I think, when they're disappointed when you show up and they're like, "Oh fuck," or sorry, but they're like, "Oh shoot, he lived. We didn't expect him to come back." And then they
Well,
realized, I figured it out. I know that they
oh,
tried to kill.
well, a lot of the times I remember we would come back from time missions and we would have done exactly what they told us to do, but Preston would be, "Oh, what happened? Everything's all different now, and it's not what we expected." And we're like, "Well, we did what you told
Yeah,
us to
but they
do."
expected us to die. There was a suicide mission, and they're such assholes. And it makes sense now. And when I see people treat me like that, it's like, oh, they're so evil.
Ah, I get what you're saying. That is messed up. Yeah, the way
Yeah,
they treated everybody was messed up, and that was probably their way to get rid of certain people. It's like, "Oh, we'll send them on a mission that we know they're gonna fail." And yeah, that's you're definitely not disposable, brother. That's
thank you.
programming.
Also,
Um,
I have a question. I have a memory of being in a Hulk body and like hiding in a cave house in the hill. And it was like carved out and had big wooden beams, like it was made for super soldiers. And I remember looking down the coast. It was like on an ocean coast, and there's these huge waves breaking on the coast. And next thing I know, I'm in the waves. And I consciously said, "Oh, these waves are too big," because I've been surfing before, and I know what a big wave is. And these had to have been 15-foot tall waves, but I remember the water was only up to my belly, and I was like, "Wow, I'm way taller than normal." And then I drowned, and I woke up, but I wasn't sure if that's how we had to end our missions. If we lived through a mission, do we have to kill ourselves to get back?
that's a good question. I mean, and that's another thing is like certain people when they sent them through the portals on missions, it's like if we lost them in battle or whatever else, we might not retrieve them. Certain people kind of had a rank. In fact, I think there's a little colored, literally a colored tiered system on how important each asset was and how many resources you should go through to retrieve them. So the better abilities you had, like if you could open portals or stop time or rewind time or fast forward time or anything like that, or just certain abilities that people had that were really valuable, that would make them a higher classification on making sure they retrieve us. And yeah, it makes me wonder. I do believe that it evolved over time, and they probably did eventually have the technology where if you did die on a mission, you would just end up right back at base. You know, it's depicted in Rick and Morty in one of the episodes, and we all know. Well, I know that shows soft disclosure. It's like trying to show people, make people understand concepts that the public wouldn't even think of. They're making it so they understand it, but they're not. Then they don't have to think about it too hard because it's a cartoon, so they're not freaking out. It's perfect. It's a perfect Trojan horse to introduce the public to this kind of stuff. But yeah, I've seen that depicted, and I think it's very likely it's true. And that's something that I try to remind people and point out is it was very much so they had to start from the ground up and it evolved. So the technology got better and better as the program went on. The portals, the first portals they opened were like they're Tesla technology, and that you get radiation from them. And I did an interview with Andrew Brasiago where he talked about a lot of the older technology, the first generation stuff that they were using to time travel and stuff. And eventually, the most refined way to do it, the best and safest way, was what Steve was talking about with opening the portals with the mirrors, with the trip chair. That was the safest way to
Mhm.
open a gateway to somewhere. But then there are also stargates, which is like you lock in a coordinate and you keep it open. And that's what you do for areas that are you want to continuously go there and have access to them. That's so you can you can access those locations continuously without messing with the time space, like because it gets harder to do, and the time space portal or whatever could maybe get more unstable. I forget exactly what it was, but I just remember if there was a place that we wanted to continuously go back and forth, we'd open up a Stargate and keep it open. And there was a room full of Stargates. I remember that. There was a room full of portals that were kind of like kept open. And it's hard to imagine the amount of power that would have taken. But maybe it didn't. Maybe the technology didn't even take that much. I don't know. I just remember that room full of portals. Hi, Ida.
Thank you, Arkeem. Hi, Ida. So let's go ahead. So Ida, yeah, we've already been live for almost over an hour now. So we just would like you to share turn your camera around so you get landscape. Turn it.
Turn it around?
Turn
Sideways.
it. Yeah, you too, Steve. So
Like
there,
that?
Keep turning. No, not like that. You got to turn it the other. No, we got to see you turn the camera
Horizontal.
from portrait to landscape.
How do you do that? I don't know how to do that.
Just turn it 90 degrees.
Oh, this way?
Yes, it should
It's
fix
got me
itself.
sideways.
Okay, don't worry about it. So, Ida, just go ahead and tell us who you are and what did you experience at the Montauk tour?
Well, my name's Ida Farhat, and I am super happy that I had the experience, and thank you for the invite, James. First off, the energy for me was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I think that it was a very positive experience. I think a lot got done. Everybody contributed, and it just felt really magical, honestly. I felt, especially when we were taking hikes, you and I and Sean and Stephanie and I forgot who else. I think Catherine might have been with us. I can't remember, and then the visit at the grave site. You guys had gotten there way ahead of me, but I came to visit afterwards, and I could feel. I walked around a little bit by myself, and I could feel the energy there. I wouldn't say it was low vibration, but I would say that it you could feel a stagnant in some areas, not everywhere. What else? I think everybody that came and joined in and decided to show up, I think everybody brought something to the experience, and it's I'm confident that a lot of shifting took place. That's what I'll say. I did speak with Catherine yesterday, and she was mentioning about the portal when they were out on the boat. I wasn't there, but she was super excited about it and felt that she was able to help some souls possibly transfer over, or at least release from that energy field. What else? I don't know. I could keep going on. I think it was amazing. It was a great gathering, James, and thank you for making it happen for all of us. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, James.
You're all welcome. And this so Gary rented out a boat, and Steve got to go on it. So Steve, are you still there? Oh, I guess he's. And where are we getting feedback? So let's see here. Where are we getting this from? It's from you. Okay. Just muted you. So yeah, it's okay. It's okay. If you want to come on, if you want to mention, you can unmute yourself. But yeah, so the boat, they went around the peninsula there, and some people were seeing these lines in the clouds that were going back and forth, and also different wave patterns from different directions, from different times. So does anybody else? I guess Steve, you're not here. Anybody else? Maybe you, Ida. You want to comment about it?
Yeah. Well, I don't know about the lines, but I definitely want to comment about I think the helicopter showing up was pretty intriguing, to say the least. I mean, I thought that was kind of interesting that it would show up at the time that we were there. And also, I don't know if anybody mentioned prior to me coming on, the lady that was collecting the money, James, remember the lady that was collecting the money for parking? Yep, there you go. She was, and some say that they noticed different people. I don't know. I didn't see anyone, I didn't see it, but some on the Telegram group said that they saw a white guy, they saw a Spanish guy, I think, or I don't know. Everybody saw something different. It seemed to be, if I read it correctly. But I thought it was interesting that the lady that worked there knew as much as she did. So for those of you that might not have heard the conversation that I had with her, and James was with me, the woman that was collecting money to park in Montauk is awake and aware, and had mentioned that when she was a child, she had a brother that was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed brother, although she was Spanish, I believe Cuban, but maybe one of the other Hispanic countries. And she mentioned that her grandmother used to always make it her business to make sure that that little boy, blonde hair, blue eyed, was not out in certain areas in Montauk when he was young. And they decided to sneak out one time. I think she said she was around 9 or 10 years old, and they went into one of these dumbs or somewhere in one of these buildings there, and they found a lot of newspapers. She said that there was newspapers everywhere with articles about missing children. So I thought that was fascinating. And then metal boxes and those glass bottles, I forgot what they're called for chemists that use to do different chemistry with it. I forgot what they're called, but yeah, there was a lot of different things that were taking place that I think, makes you wonder. But again, I think it was a great gathering, and I think on a whole, everybody was able to bring something with them, or take something away from the whole experience that was inspiring and uplifting for sure. So I don't feel like it was a heavy, daunting thing. I think I think a lot of good things came from that gathering. And again, James, thank you.
All right. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and call it, unless anybody has anything to say.
Just
yeah, I think I gotta get going. So
All right, Arkeem. Thank you so much. We'll
yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh wait. Okay. Hold on, Ida. Yeah.
Yes.
What's that?
Sorry.
Say it again.
No, I was just saying hi to them. I didn't realize, I didn't read the names. I knew it was Akeem, but I didn't realize that was Collin. Collin, how are you?
We also have
Good.
Steve here too.
Hi, Steve. I saw
Hello.
your interview. I watched your interview.
Oh, you
Good
did?
stuff. You're welcome. Yeah.
Thank you.
This
All right.
is my boy. If everybody wants to say hi to Prince, he's a
Hey,
super
Hi,
lover.
Prince.
He's the best. Mwah.
All
Okay.
right.
Guys, have a blessed day.
Everybody have a good one. Yeah, you too.
Yeah, you
We'll
too. All
we
right.
all see you later.
All right.
See you
Okay.
later.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Ciao.
Bye.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. All right. It's good. We're getting it.